All praises to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the nation of Israel. And this is going to be a video talking about this event that I've came across that's going to be taking place, and I believe it's going to be taking place from Friday, so the 6th of June, right? And it's an esports World Cup. And give me 1 second. Yeah, it's going to be an esports World Cup, which for those of you that might not understand what that is, excuse me, it's going to be ultimately a World Cup for people that play video games, right? Now, if you're maybe from the ages of 20s to, like I would say, mid to late 40s, you may have had some times where you played video games and you saw the transformation of how video games did change from like the consoles like Sega Master System, Sega Mega Drive, Dreamcast, GameCube, Xbox, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 1 was before Xbox, right? I think a couple of PlayStations came out before they ever released any Xbox video games, right? But now the Xbox is a competitor within that whole video game world, right? And we've went from PlayStation 1 to now we're on PlayStation 5, right? But when the PlayStation 4 came out, I believe there was like a 10-year gap where they never made no more PlayStations. And the current PlayStation 5 is only like is like a couple of years old, if that, like maybe 2 or 3 years old, right? And then you had the whole Grand Theft Auto games, how they came out, where the original Grand Theft Auto games, like Grand Theft Auto 2, I believe, had a top view, right? And this is showing that like I explained, I used to play all these different video games and all that, right? Whereas now, and this isn't no diss to nobody, but now if I try and sit in front of a video game, like I just don't like it no more. I can find it like weird. I don't particularly like it. Now that doesn't mean that somebody else won't still, maybe I ain't played a good enough video game of these new ones or whatever, but it's just not in me to really play a video game that much anymore. That could change, but it don't, it's not a thing that happens. I don't have a newest console and that stuff. But the point I'm making is that Folly's setting great dignity, man. And this video game thing used to be like a thing for children, really, right? And in the time when I used to play all these video games, like the latest age I would have been when I was still playing them to that degree would have been like, I think 20 or 21. Would have been around 20 or 21. And then I stopped really playing those things anymore like that, man. But the video games thing has changed greatly since what it used to be like, man. Like from the 2D Sega games where you run from the left-hand side of the screen to the right-hand side of the screen. The Game Boy, right? You had a Game Boy, Nintendo Game Boy, where the screen's like green and black and the characters are black. And you just run around. You press A, jump on their head with the Mario and all that. To now, the Mario games, the Sonic games, all the video games are 3D. You've got these games like Fortnite that have got these crazy large maps and you can damn near interact with every single thing on the video game. And they've set a lot of, which is really, all of this video game stuff is really a folly, because the amount of money that's spent on the video games could be spent on giving men skills and training for skills that actually really aid in the world, right? But instead it's used, and then there'll be one or two, maybe a team of like 20 men that they fix up a game like Grand Theft Auto 6, like the way they're doing this new Grand Theft Auto 6 game. The map size on that is ridiculous, and I've saw the map size on a video game called Fortnite, Lego Fortnite, which is for children really, right? And that map size is ridiculous on how big they've made that map on that game, showing that Folly truly is being set in great dignity, and they're putting a hell of a lot of effort into these video games, man. And there's a movie called I believe it's called Ready Player One, and in this movie, people are able to like plug themselves into a machine, and then they become their online character. And then if they're good enough on the video game, they can kind of better their life in the real world. And that's exactly what's happening in here, because most of these people, whatever video games it is, that they end up playing in this World Cup, right? Let's say that one of the main games that I've seen that people play on these esports things are shooting games like Call of Duty, and then another one that I've noticed that's a big one among them, among especially Moab and Ammon, are Street Fighter, right? But Street Fighter is a fighting game. Call of Duty is a shooting game, right? And I wonder how many of these people that can actually fight and have a real fight in real life, or how many of these people would be able to be any good in a war, in a military. I would doubt any of them. Yet when you give them a control pad in their hand, right, they can be the best online fighter or the best online soldier that you've ever met in your life. Again, Folly's setting great dignity, man, and they've made a World Cup based on video games, right? So people are going to be defending their country based on video games. And if you look at the view count, 1.7 million views, that's not no small amount. That's a large amount, man. That's a large amount of views for video games, which really used to be something that was just a pastime for children. And I'm not going to make it like I never used to play these video game things for large amounts of time, because I did. But then this you grow out of that. But when I heard about the prize money and what they said they're gonna do for this, some people are gonna leave from whoever wins this event. If they wasn't a millionaire before, they will be millionaires after they win, because they're giving out millions of dollars, pounds, whatever you want to call it, whichever currency you want to say, for the winners. And then they're going to be giving out prize money for runner-ups and different things and that. And it's all based on video games. You see what I mean? It's based on video games, and most of the people that are going to be competing in this are going to be adults, right? They're going to be adults, man. But then take whatever video game that they're based on. If it's a driving game, I guarantee they can't drive a real car like that, right? If it's a fighting game, I guarantee they can't really fight like that. If it's a basketball game, I guarantee they ain't got no handles and a good 3-point jumper shot like how they have in a video game. If it's FIFA, football games, whatever, I guarantee they can't kick ball like that. I know I ain't any good at football, but when I used to play some of them video games, sometimes I was a pretty good on the football video games, but pass me a real ball, straight trash. Right? It's like making the video game thing has become like an online avatar to make yourself seem like you can do this and you can do that, man. Then back in the days, people used to have the boxing games and that, fight night and all that, and people could be amazing at fighting on them games, boxing, but then make them put on some real gloves, and no, they can't, man. They're trying to make a whole AI world with every aspect of this life, man. And the worst game, the one that's the most makes the most money, has gotta be Grand Theft Auto, man. That video game, they literally still haven't released this next one, Grand Theft Auto 6, but they released the last one. I think it was like 2012 or something like that. In 2012, they released Grand Theft Auto 5 and haven't had the need to release another one for a decade, and they've still been making money off of the one that they made a decade ago, man. Still been making money. I think that they've made billions from that game now. If you was to look it up, I think it's billions that's been made from that video game, man. But then now, video games has become such a thing that people do in this world that they've made a World Cup. Back in the day, brothers, I'm sure would know, like, video games never even used to be a thing that you could play against loads of people, right? In order when they had the PlayStation 1. And Salakia, man, if you don't know anything about the video games, I'm just going into about a few things that I remember from when I used to play them. Back in the days when you had a PlayStation 1, right? You never used to be able to just play multiplayer, right? You had to buy a device that you attached to the PlayStation that allowed you then to be able to play multiplayer. You couldn't just play multiplayer. And you had to have a control that had wires coming from it. You couldn't just be playing it far from the TV. No, you had to plug it in and be playing it right where that is. And the wires would rip and all that. Then Wi-Fi came around, and then they made Wi-Fi and Bluetooth video game controllers, right? They even have, when it comes to Amazon, they have a video game controller that you can just buy the video game controller, and then you don't even need to buy a console, and the video games can be played straight off of a TV. So this whole video games thing is very big in this world, and it's a way that Esau uses to take people's attention span, man. And then that's how they get people on this whole Twitch stuff and all of that, right? And then they get access to people's children's minds from a very young age, because they start to learn little tricks and things on how to play certain video games to get little tricks and codes and all that, right? And then they now just start following after those guys, and then they think that those guys are so cool. And that's where you got these guys like KSI and that. He started off just playing FIFA. He started us just playing FIFA, but then even he ended up deciding, man, nah, I want to do something that's real. And he then decided to try and do boxing. Now, he didn't, whenever he boxed against an actual real fighter, Tommy Fury, which give or take, he's not really that good of a fighter himself either, right? He lost, but he still tried to do like something in the real world, man. He still tried to do something in the real world. And a lot of people, to bring it round, a lot of people, when it comes to the scriptures, they like to try and just talk about what the Hebrew Israelites are saying based on what they think they know. But then they haven't actually opened up the Bible and read to see if we're telling the truth, which they should do that. Whenever I hear people say things about what's it, especially when I was very first learning that I'm an Israelite, even, I'd press the pause button, and then I would listen, and I didn't even used to have a Bible. I had to buy one, or I asked somebody for a Bible, and then they gave me one. But then when I started looking into what was the version that they gave me, I was like, nah, this version ain't the one I need. Then I went and got a New King James Version, because I didn't know at that time that there was a difference, even a little bit of the difference in the wording in that. And then when I'd hear them say certain scriptures, and I'd go to that scripture in my version, the New King James, I'd be like, that don't say it the same way they're saying it. What's going on here, right? So then I went on the internet and I'd see, oh, that's what it says in the King James Version, so I may as well buy a King James Version. And I bought the King James Version, right? And I've still had that same King James Version now since that moment I bought it, man, up until now. From then till now, man. With all the highlightings and markings in there. And then I was like, oh, I've started seeing them mention some in other verses, and I'd hear them say Ecclesiasticus, but I'd thought that it was talking about Ecclesiastes. And I'd be like, hang on, it don't say that in there. Then I'd look up Ecclesiasticus and be like, oh, that's in an Apocrypha. Then I bought that too. And then had the whole true Bible, the whole of what would be in the King James 1611 original Bible, man. But most people in this world, they try and talk about this and talk about that when it comes to the Israelites, but they don't know what they're talking about, man. And this video is like kind of all over the place or whatever, but I just thought, I've never heard of a World Cup for video games before. I don't know if this is if this is like the first time they're ever doing this or whatever, but they're doing it though. And the prize money is going to make people millionaires off of video games. And when do you do a World Cup and only do it once? So Esau would have plans to continually do World Cups based off video games, right? But then there's a scripture in the Bible that says, he that maketh money out of like foolishness or vanity is going to go quickly. And that's when you see people that make crazy amounts of money off of like meme crypto coins and all these things. If you was to check, most of them probably lose that money real quick, man, or blow it and spend it real quick. Even when it comes to sports, man, a lot of them sports athletes, they lose that money real quick, because sports is even though the physical traits that these men have are amazing, but really it's folly though. It's just a whole bunch of people that ain't got the skill to do these physical things, getting gassed up because somebody can run across a football pitch with 22 men on there and kick it into the top corner or kick it wherever it needs to go. Which I personally, this is just me though, I personally think that football is one of the most whack sports ever. The only time I ever watch any of it is when it comes to World Cups, man, because I like to see how these Edomites accept your nationality accept your citizenship as being English, but then the moment you miss that penalty, you better make sure you've got your all you Jakes that play for the England football team, man. The moment you step in that World Cup, you may as well just make sure you got your passport in your back pocket, fam. Because the moment you miss that penalty, they want you on a first class, the first thing smoking, back to Africa. And it's the same thing, even with people that don't even look like so-called black people, man. Because they even used to do it to Andy Murray in tennis. He used to be British when he was winning and doing good. The moment he starts getting 16, 50, 40 love, ace, smoked out by Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic, when they would just wipe the floor with him in the matches and that, right? Then he's Scottish again. You know what I mean? They just cast him away. Oh, he's Scottish now. They did the same thing to Amir Khan. Amir Khan, back in the day when he used to box, man, he used to get at least equal, in my opinion, back in the day, man. He used to get a lot of love in the UK for that boxing thing. And I didn't even know anything about boxing back then. I remember they was promoting it all on the ITV Sport, ITV1. They was just promoting a fight, promoting it. I was like, oh, I want to watch this boxing match. And then they promoted the fight. And it was an amateur boxing match, right? They promoted the fight and it was Amir Khan against some Colombian dude, I believe, right? And it was just promoting the fight, hyping it up so much, man. And it was promoting like it was a professional fight, an amateur rematch. You understand? You know how big of a deal that is? They're promoted like it was a professional fight, amateur boxing. It was amateur. It wasn't even pro. And they promoted it like it was a professional fight, man. And when I seen him with the head guards, I was like, I didn't know anything about amateur boxing back in them times. I was like, what the hell is this? But they promoted it like he was a pro at that time, and he wasn't. He was like 17 years old back then. He had all the love. They loved him, right? Then he started fighting in professionals after that, right? I think he got a silver medal and that other guy got gold. I can't remember his name, man, but I think the guy's name began with a B or something like that, man. Some like older Colombian Jake, man. But anyway, right? Then Amir Khan went pro, started punching men up. First round knockout here, first round knockout there. Some of the fastest punches that you ever see in your life. If you're a fan of boxing, he had speed, man. Right? He had a lot of speed, right? And then he fought a next Colombian Jake, man, called Breedis Prescott, and got knocked out in the first round, man. And then from that moment on, he gradually stopped being British and became Pakistani. You understand? And that's how we know how it goes down here. We already know how it goes, man. We already know. No, Salakia, forgive me, man. I forgot why I even mentioned that, right? But there must have been a reason, man, why I even mentioned all that. What the point of this video is that Folly's setting great dignity, man. Folly's setting a lot of dignity in his world. The things that actually don't really mean that much, right, make you rich beyond compare. Like when you actually really sit back and think about what basketball is, right? It's stupid. You bounce a ball, chest pass. If you stop and then move your feet again, you're traveling. Or you can only do 2-step, but you can do 2 steps before you do a layup, right? But then when there's a certain player that they like, they allow them to travel all over the place anyway. And you're just viewed as a god when you're an NBA player, man. Right? The NBA in America, if you're an NBA player in America or even look like one, they'll love your dirty drawers, man. There's one Jake in America, man. There's one Jake in America, one YouTuber, and he looks like a basketball player. He just looks like one. He's not. He used to play a bit of basketball back in the day or whatever, but he just looks like a basketball player. And the way how he gets treated, right, by women, they treat him like he's Absalom, fam. The way how they treat this guy. He's just 6'8" and super tall and that, and he just looks like a professional basketball player, but he's not though. I'm not saying he can't play basketball because he used to, but he just looks like he's a basketball player. And he's just winning over there because America loves basketball, but basketball is actually nothing though in the grand scheme of things. We ain't gonna be playing basketball in the kingdom. I know I won't be. Because I don't play that now. I don't got no love, never had no love for basketball really now. Not to say I ain't ever played it, but I wasn't good at it for starters. But like I never really in the United Kingdom, it's not really a sport that we even really care about that much like that anyway, right? But I just ain't never really liked it because all of these things are really still part of the folly anyway. Even a lot of the music that they make us make now is dumb as well, right? It don't you like once they started making, which we've all tried it, we've all had a dabble in it, man. Fruit Loops and all that. When you're making music and that, once they started making things like that, you don't really need no skill to to make Fruit Loops beats. Not really. You know what I mean? You don't really need that much skill to make a beat on there. Not really. That being able to make a beat on there does not mean that you can actually play the piano, play the trumpet, play the guitar, play the violin, play the cello for real, right? It don't mean that. Not really, man. And that's why AI now has just came through, and AI is making all kind of music, man, using people that really made music's voices and spinning it and doing what they want to do with the voice. But I'm gonna end the video there, man. I just wanted to talk a bit about this Folly setting great dignity because they're making a World Cup based on video games, man. And I just thought that was interesting, and it goes into what the scriptures speak about how Folly setting great dignity. Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. Shalom.